We are live.
Okay, great.
I can't tell if Lynn is live.
Lynn's memorized.
Lynn's like in that stream world where you like go slow.
Okay. Oh, anyway, so I know. How did you guys feel about the election results?
Hold on, wait. Hold on. Are we doing well, we skipped the whole show introduction. We don't even have the little intro
Oh yeah,
theme
that
song.
music countdown.
Yeah, who cares? It's 2022, and people don't care about introductions and theme songs. They just want to get to the nitty gritty, the good stuff. So
Yep.
it's Political Pulse Live. We are back after the election, 2022, and boy was it electric. And again, our show is to bring you the pulse of what happens, not only during the election time, but just to be informed at all times about what goes on in politics, in your local community, your national network, your state level government, things of that nature. So, obviously, we are here now, all three of us. Bill, we're still going to call you the senator, aka the senator. Mo, the politician, and Lynn Sue, the organizer. Lynn, did we land on a nickname for you yet, or no?
No.
We gotta give you a nickname. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we gotta give her a name. We can't give her like her regular name. It's already like Lynn Sue's already nicknamed enough. So, so
You know what's funny? Like when I was campaigning, a lot of people end up calling me Sue instead of Lynn. And then there's a new one. It goes Sue Lynn. So they think my name is Sue Lynn.
That sounds more Asian.
I know.
it does. I immediately think of Rush Hour. So anyway, so now we finally got Bill back after the campaign trail. Has ended, and Bill did a phenomenal job. Let's give a round of applause for Bill. Everybody clap it up, because he did really well in a very tough political climate. So for him to do as well as he did, to not have the victory tonight is very unfortunate. But he's still on this show as our champion, as one of our champions, as we try to educate the rest of the world as well as South Florida on how to really just be more involved in politics. So, so what do we think about the election last night, guys? Outside of Bill's campaign, we'll get to Bill's race in a bit.
Well, first of all, what we're gonna do is we have a special guest today. You know.
Oh, okay, cool. We got a special guest.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I know we have a special guest today who's interviewed, I don't know, senators and all these people. He's been on radio talk show for a long time. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, but in the meantime, why don't we all welcome Mike Essen from the Mike Essen Show.
The Mike Essen Show. Hey,
Yeah.
Mike.
Welcome, Mike.
In the building.
Pleasure to be here, Lynn, Mo, and Bill, and thank you so much for having me on Political Pulse.
You got it.
So, Mike, what did you think about last night?
So what do we got for Mike tonight? What questions?
Let's see what Mike thinks about last night.
I'm curious to know.
We are in Florida. We are officially the land of the free and the home of the brave. Who needs Walt Disney World? Period. When you have a magical place like Florida, a red flood, tsunami, and wave crashed this state, and because of the 10th Amendment, I'm very happy about it.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He preaching over there.
Yeah,
right.
Unfortunately, that wave missed Broward. It just kind of like did a U-turn
As
around
usual. As usual.
Like,
yeah.
Look, even the hurricane missed Broward.
It's like it's got an invisible shield around Broward.
Well, that I'm glad about, actually. But
by the way, shout out to Marianne Duke, who's watching the show. She's always watching the show. I'm not sure if you guys see this comment, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Marianne. So,
hey, Marianne.
Right. Hey, Marianne.
Hi, Marianne.
So I will tell you about. I'll start with my race a little bit because it's top of my mind.
I bet.
So Tina, she was the incumbent, redistricted into 30 with me. And, in the beginning, I heard some rumors that she had mentioned that she was going to crush me like an ant. Right. And she really didn't campaign very hard because I believe she just thought she had it because, who's Bill Reichert? this guy out of nowhere running for office, right? And a big office at that first run.
Right.
So, you know, I worked very hard, went out, met a lot of people. But I will tell you, there's a lot of mistakes in the Republican format that I think held us back a little bit. One is I think Republicans talk to Republicans too much, and we sing our own praises to each other in these meetings.
Yeah.
And we need to get out more into public and do more forums. And even if the other candidate doesn't want to be there, getting in front of people, right, is more important. Because we go to all the Republican groups and we talk and everybody leaves, they clap, we're going to help each other, blah, blah, blah. You leave and there's nothing. Air, crickets, right? So that was one thing.
Sometimes that you're expecting that they would, you know, since we're all patriots, you would expect that they would volunteer, right?
Yeah, you're looking for them to carry the
donate or whatever, and yeah, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, and especially in that part of the state that you guys and I was at the time, we know that that's the trend. So, and it's nothing new. I guess it's just as first time candidates, our first time having that experience. But it's nothing new. This is what happens in Broward. Yeah. So they have a little bubble that keeps missing that wave that Mike was talking about. So
yeah, and you know, and the other thing that I noticed, I was driving around the precincts yesterday, you know, and I had a lot of precincts being between Broward and Palm Beach. And one thing that Democrats did very smart was, and this is where I lost some votes, is the underserved areas. They made sure they had a person that was of that area, paid or whatever they were, handing out their cards when everybody drove in.
Yep.
And our party did not have any presence there. So in some precincts, I only got like 10 votes to 550, and those were in those areas. So as a party, I think we need to start looking at this and analyzing the data and finding out these points that we're missing. If we would have had people handing those cards out too, we may have picked up a lot more votes.
Yeah.
This is something that, as a black conservative, as well as I've spoken to other black Republicans, we stress this to the party, especially in Broward County.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we get in those areas? Well, just be visible, and we're still not visible even during the campaign times. And it's really what's that bullet that shoots us ourselves in the foot, and it's been continuous. So, Bill, you bring up a very good point. We're not visible, and especially on election day, we're even more so not visible.
Right. We look at the big, what we think are the big chunks of the vote, and then when we start missing out on these smaller ones, that adds up.
Absolutely.
You know? And in the campaigning, I think the theory, you know, of following Sidekick and all these things and getting all this data information for Tallahassee, which they have tons of money and tons of people on the ground anyway.
Yeah.
We should be walking for ourselves, not Tallahassee. And we should be taking that data back for ourselves, analyzing that data, and then going and using it, because we're asking questions for Rubio and DeSantis. We can plug in the quick answers so they have all their data fields, but that doesn't relate to what we're trying to talk to the person that we're meeting about.
Yep.
Right. So we got to build a bond with the people that we're talking to. And if they're all DeSantis and they're all Rubio, then they're all your friend and they want to talk to you a little more. But even the Republicans that aren't, you're missing a whole crowd of people because they're like, we're not really sure about DeSantis, or we're not sure about Rubio. So I think there's a lot of marketing tricks and some business sense that needs to be brought into the party. And going forward, I'm going to create what I'm going to call a political boot camp. And I'm going to go and train candidates and I'm not going to be no grifter that's going to take money from people. But we're going to put together a book of everything I learned, and we're going to start holding boot camps, because Tina got endorsements from people that didn't even reach out to me. I didn't even know those people were available for endorsements.
Oh yeah.
So we got 20 endorsements over me, right? And then the ones that I actually met with, I got the endorsement except for one.
Yeah.
Right. So it's or two. Sorry, the Palm Beach Post and the Sun Sentinel, but that's expected, right? But you know, there's a lot. There's got to be more strategy on the Republican side to win, and Broward is definitely blue. And I'll tell you what, I lost in the mail-in ballots, and I went to the SEO office, and I was looking at verifying signatures, right, with the person I went with. You're only there for half an hour. You can only see about 20 ballots or so, maybe 30. But then when I walked over to the box of all the mail-in, what I didn't like was you see Rubio's name, right? And then you see Demons, then you see DeSantis and Chris, and then there was literally, I'd say hundreds of ballots that they were flipping through real quick that had either an X over one of the two dots that they circled or a line through one name and another one circled. How do we know how they cured that ballot? They just go ahead and make another ballot based on that the person put a line here and they picked that one now. Who did that line? There's so many. I left there and I wanted to call up Tallahassee and say, I understand we have better practices in elections, but this is bullshit, right?
Our
So how do we know how legit the mail-in side really is?
Right.
Right. And another thing, I don't know how everybody agrees or not agrees with this, but we need to have like a 3-day voting period. This 2 weeks gives so much room for numbers to be moved around.
I would actually make it. I would actually make it the same day, election day, one day, and you better have a good reason if you do a mail-in ballot.
Yep.
I agree.
And all paper ballots as well.
I agree, 100%.
1 sec.
Siri agrees too.
I mean, I agree to a certain extent, and I mean the only reason I disagree, I'm not gonna say I disagree, but the only challenges I see is that the volume of people in that one time frame would actually be very discouraging to a lot of voters. Me personally,
better than what's happening now. I agree there are flaws. It's not a perfect system. It's not.
No, I mean anything that we do is going to be imperfect. It's just I think there's got to be. Yeah,
that's my point. It's better than now where people are cheating left, right, and left. But your point is well taken, Mo. I will say that.
100%. Because then if we were to do that, then you're going to have a whole constituency of people saying, hey, it's unfair. They're already saying it now with unfair about ID. Let's make it.
I think when I was a kid, we only had one day. Schools closed.
I remember that
all
day.
The schools, yep. All the schools that had a voting station in it. Our parents went to vote, and that was it. We knew that night.
And by the way, the day I care when the left thinks it's unfair, 2016, April 5th, time expired. I don't care anymore.
No, but I mean, yeah. So I mean, there was so many things though. I'm not going to go into the election integrity component of that. I think in Broward again, it's really the biggest issue again is Tallahassee taking advantage of Broward. I agree with you on that, Bill. They do take advantage, and then the actual Broward GOP not really doing more. And I'm not going to say it's all of the members of the Broward GOP because there's a lot of people that really do their best and try their best to get stuff done, but as a body, it doesn't move in the right direction.
We expect Broward to lose, and that's a problem.
We expect it, so we don't try very hard, and all they really do is they just try to ensure that they get the top level guys elected. Look at the results. This dude had a 1.5 million vote gap. He did not need our help to try and get more votes. Don't get me wrong; that's what we should be doing. But he didn't need no help. It was Charlie Crist.
But they have their own teams of people on the ground that are there. And
Right.
I'll tell you, in my numbers, this was surprising. I got a text today from a girl that was helping me out, Jean Marie.
Yeah.
I actually, in my district, now just using my district, I tied DeSantis in percentage, and I beat Rubio in votes.
Wow.
But only in my district of Broward. So, I mean, I felt good about that, but, he had the whole state to work with. I only had
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. I 100% get that. No, but I mean, you did very well considering. And I mean, if we want to bring up highlights in Broward County and anything, I'm going to jump on this real quick, only because, again, I was a school board candidate. Brenda Pham did absolutely phenomenal in a county where we, again, deem that most Republicans don't have a fighting chance. And she had a fighting chance because she was fighting the entire time. Not to say that you weren't, Bill, because I saw you fight the entire time, but you did have a delayed start. There were a number of things that were working against you. So for what you did with those things working against you, tremendously awesome job. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, you're very welcome. But there was, Brenda did an awesome job, but she also had one factor that was working with her was the guy that she was running against was beatable. He was definitely beatable, but in the county, finally, some people were in the issues are what really put her across the finish line. Parents in that district really want to be more involved in their children's education. Parents in that district don't want over sexualized school books in the district. You know, the things resonated very well, and she stayed on target. She never deviated, even when it got tough, even when it got ugly, even when, you know, all outside of Broward or outside of her district got involved. She stayed on target, and thank God in that particular segment of Broward, there were enough people that the issues resonated with that she won her her election. So it's not impossible in Broward. It just again, the Broward GOP needs to understand that they need to support their candidates. You know, Brenda got some good support. She did have good support. I had good support too in a race where I jumped in very late, so I got some numbers there. So it's definitely possible. But at the end of the day, they need to put more effort into their candidates and stop focusing on Tallahassee and all in the congressional seats. Look at your local politics. Get those people involved. You know, so because there was a lot of effort put into Carla Spalding, a lot of effort put into, don't get me wrong, I love this guy, Drew Montez Clark and stuff like that. Their efforts paid there, but into your real Broward candidates, the ones that need.
How did Drew do? You have the results up. How did he do?
He lost.
He didn't do very well.
20 or something.
He got beat by like 70 some odd percent. Let me see if I can pull this up. And I was very disappointed, not in Drew or anything like that, but in just the way the district votes. It's unfortunate. Drew, she got.
You guys, the whole point is that, like, you know, these districts that are drawn, right? There are protected districts, like meaning they cannot be redistricted. They have to stay the same.
Marianne was somebody. Brenda.
It's like forever Democrats are going to win these districts. We have no chance of redrawing those lines.
Right.
In Miami, we have 107 and 108, like Marie Woodson and Benjamin Christopher or Christopher Benjamin. I don't know. He has two first names. Don't talk to the family, please. Just observing. But the point is that, like, these districts, they're untouchable. Everything else gets to be juggled around, and these districts just stay the same.
No, I don't necessarily.
There are districts like that are in Tallahassee and Jacksonville, you know, I mean, all over the state. And to me, honestly, this is actually racism. I'm sorry, like, you know, to categorize and group people like that, and group it that way. I get that they're trying to do opportunity zones in these districts, but the representatives don't do it.
What's your thoughts on that? Okay, I was going to ask Mike, what do you think on that? He agrees.
Mike, what are your thoughts on the race? So the candidates you've interviewed, the people that you know, how did you feel the race went for some of the people?
Excellent in Dade. Broward not good. But let's start with the good news. Candidates I did endorse in the House were Alina Garcia. She won handily. Juan Fernandez Barquin got reelected, who, by the way, introduced the Anti-Riot Act, which was a great achievement by him and Governor DeSantis. My friend of 5 years, Juan Porras, who devastated progressive Gabriel Gonzalez. He will be a future star in the making. Watch it. And in District 113, a narrow win, which I thought would be the case for my friend Vicky Lopez in 113. I am very happy for all of them for listening. You four will make a difference. And if y'all run for governor, don't forget me. I also want to mention he is partially in Dade. Jim Mooney, you know, from Dade and the Keys. Yeah. He'll get reelected easily. Wow. I endorsed him as well. He is moderate on some issues, but very good for his districts. And I like him.
Well, I mean, like, I think Jim Mooney supported the big sugar, right? So, I mean, like,
he was wrong on the parental rights bill, big time wrong. But compared to his opponents, he's good.
Right. And the whole big sugar thing is something that I think is, you know, it's scary.
Yeah.
And there's special interests involved.
Well, I'll be looking for your endorsement.
I want to say there was surprise.
Hey, I was endorsed.
I endorsed Lynn on Fabian Basabe, I think, who's a progressive Republican, literally beat her. Unfortunately, Lynn, you'll have many chances, and I will endorse you again when you run. If you run, we'll see.
She's going to run.
That. But I don't know. Actually, I don't know if Pasabe actually won. I'd rather him than the Democrat, but he's far from my kind as Republican. He's not a conservative. He's a Republican. He's the Liz Cheney of the Florida House if he gets it.
Yeah, that's how to categorize it. I was thinking, like, what kind of Republican is he? I mean, like, he says he's pro-choice, right? He's pro-gun control. He's pro-gay, and the other one was what? Tough on crime, right? So
you can't be all those.
Sounds like a Liz Cheney.
I'm gonna go soft on criminals. That's my big campaign push.
Also, in the Florida Senate, there was a surprise for me. In the state Senate races, I did not get involved with either, not because I didn't want the candidates to, and I just don't really know them. I expected Ileana Garcia, pardon me, to get reelected. She won handily. But the surprise, I did not think Alexis Claudiu was good to beat Janelle Perez, who is a real progressive leftist. Claudiu won handily, and I'm very happy about that. Alexis, if you're watching, congrats.
Mm.
And Broward.
I'm glad the Republicans kind of swept the swept the whole down in Miami-Dade County.
That was big.
Super happy.
That was very big.
Also, can I go to Broward for a second?
Sure.
I endorsed some candidates there. Jenna Haig I endorsed. She is an excellent, charming woman. She's just living in the wrong place. She would do well in another county, but she's in the wrong county. She's a family woman, a conservative, a good woman, and
very good woman.
One of the few, not so few anymore, Jewish conservatives like myself, who is socially conservative as well. I endorsed George Navarini for over Robin Bartleman. He didn't do too badly. I think
he did good. He and Bill kind of like in the same. I mean, like, you lost.
Third time's a charm for George.
Mm-hmm. I also endorsed Vinny Parlatore in District 105. Mm-hmm. I think he's new to the system. He's an excellent, strong opinion. He's a fan of the show, by the way. If you're listening, Vinny, got good taste, so you'll do well. But he's in the wrong county. Look, we got to be honest about Broward. Yeah. Let's take Debbie Wasserman Schultz's race where I stood out, where I did not even endorse it, where I didn't get involved. I didn't endorse Ruben Young in the primary because he's the only one who would take her on. It's still in face-to-face and still lose. Unless you're Dan Marino, you're not going to beat Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That district is gerrymandered, and her followers are almost like cultists.
I agree.
Another protected district. Except this time.
I hear though with her, and she is very visible in the public all the time and at all the events and around all the people. So she keeps herself in the middle of the pie. And I will tell you, there's so many elected officials nobody's ever heard of because they never see him anywhere.
No, I want to tell you one thing about
the community.
One thing about Democrat candidates is that they're very personable.
Yeah.
Very personable. Democrat and Republican candidates and Republican elected officials are very stuffy. Like, they don't warm up to you, they don't talk to you, they're not, I mean, like, and I'm saying this from personal experience, right? I mean, like, when I meet someone like Danielle Levine Cava, she remembers my name, knowing that I'm a Republican.
No, to your point, Lynn, they know that's their tactic. As long as they can remember your name and seem very personable, they're not. I hang out with a lot of Democrats.
I totally agree with you, but what I'm saying is that we totally don't have that, right?
No, we don't.
I want to say totally.
Some of our candidates
there are new ones. Vicky Lopez. I want to say Vicky Lopez is very down to earth. There's a Hialeah councilwoman. Is anyone named Monica Perez? She's as down to earth as they get. I think she forgets she's a politician sometimes. But I agree with you guys. They're few and far between. I just gave 2 examples. I should be giving more of them.
Yeah.
and the person that I think
good job, like calling, crazy.
And the person I think in this county would have done and this is like the first person I supported throughout this entire election process was Jenna Haig. She is the most personable, genuine, grassroots candidate that Broward County, aside from you, Bill, that Broward County had. And the reason I say that about her is because I met her first. Before I was a candidate.
Listen, I agree with you. And I'll tell you the truth. if it wasn't for her and helping me get the paperwork filled out,
I remember I was there.
because
Yeah.
the people that were trying to help me before told me that I was paying to help me. They told me nothing about what I needed to do.
Right.
I wouldn't have been in the race. I mean, you remember you were there that night. I had to get everything overnighted to Tallahassee to even make it on time.
Yeah.
So I think she's phenomenal.
Yeah, and this is to Mike's point. She's living in the wrong county because as awesome as she is, as great as she is for that district, the work that she would have done that would have been life-changing for that district, some dude that will never show his face unless it's a camera opportunity or a photo op won that election.
Well, that's all they do is photo ops. Everyone that I see, they come out, they go to the park, they take the picture, and then they're gone. They're not even part of the
I didn't see Dan Daly not one time, and he was my rep for many years. I didn't see him one time until the first time I saw him was an election year. The second time I saw him was on TV during an election year. The only times I've ever seen that man.
I didn't even see the guy campaign the whole time.
He didn't
I seen 3 signs, and they were at an election place.
He didn't have to, because and that was the
challenge. If you don't earn your job, you should not be part of the company, right?
Well, yeah.
You can't go anywhere in this world and not earn your position to keep it once you get the job, except in politics.
What is Dan Daly's report card, voting report card?
He's like a consistent D student. I don't know. I don't even got to look at it. No, he's not doing very well. Bill's going to get
look at it because I mean, I don't hear I was telling you earlier, right before the race, I said it's going to be a tough race.
No, and we all knew it was. She knew it was.
As well,
to be honest with you, she probably did better than a lot of people expected, which is sad. Which is very sad because her numbers were not that impressive. Not to say that she's not impressive, but
yeah. No, what I'm saying is, I told you before, but you insisted like she would win, right? And I was saying that Dan Daly's going to be a tough race to win.
Oh no, I knew it. But if anybody could do it, she could.
Really well liked. I mean, even with people.
I don't know why. I've met the man, and he gave me the card. Like, yeah, we'll get together, and never saw him ever again. You know, and I've met a lot of politicians, he's like the most disingenuous one I've ever met. Like to the point where I'm like, I'm so passionate.
Like a boy, like a B-boy.
Yeah.
But
that's not a bad voting record, right? That's very moderate for a Democrat to vote to get a B on that scorecard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are some viciously terrible.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that my opponent was a D, but she got reelected.
You're not gonna say it, right?
I'm not gonna say it. No.
Okay. We won't mention that she got a D then.
I will tell you this though. I you know, in the couple times that, well, we actually met once. We met twice, but once we were really on stage together, you know, talking. Yeah, she's not a bad woman at all, right? I mean, she's a Democrat, so we have to have our, you know, we're against each other. But as far as when I was talking to her, you know, like between when Andy Thompson was talking or whatever, you know, I will say she was very nice. You know, we got along. I really have nothing bad to say about her. And what I will say, what I do like about the race that I ran, she never tried to attack me once. No attack ads.
Admirable.
Yes, none of that. And I thanked her when I called her last night to concede, right? I mean, it was, you know, being a former athlete, conceding is like almost impossible for me. So it was killing me. But, you know, I thanked her for being respectful.
Yeah.
And you know, and running a clean race. And I even put it out on Twitter today, and you know, and with her, because that to me, that to me means a lot. Because you know, I seen what was going on with a lot of these campaigns and these mailers coming in, and that turns me off. I wouldn't want to vote for either one of those two if they're going to play that game.
Right.
So she ran a good, clean race. She was the stronger opponent in Broward. So I give her props. She did what she had to do to win, and she won.
Mm-hmm. You know what? You're a good man, Bill.
You're a good man. And Warren Love,
but you gotta be real about it, right? I mean, Bill's being really real and just because. And this is the problem when we have like political differences, and then we start to rule them down as people. Like, you know what I mean? Like you discount the person.
It's
That's-
bigotry.
And that's the problem that the Democrats are doing to us, right? It's like if you vote Republican, if you're a Republican, you're a domestic terrorist, you know, like that.
Well,
So
you have to separate the two.
Bill can
right?
be the big person and accept her for not like doing negative ads. I mean, look at the local municipal races. Can't believe how much
Those are
dirty BS that's going on. Like the city next to me, like Sunny Isles Beach, geez. Like my city, people are taking sneaking signs out and taking them to throwing them away.
Yeah.
Just so that they can win a race. Like this is like, you know, bordering on.
That tells you the kind of person they are, right? Because we have two lives. We have our political life, and then we have who we are as a person.
Right.
Right. So if who we are as a person comes out, and that's what you want to do is attack people, steal their signs, be a cheat, then that's, you know, those kind of people you don't want in office, and unfortunately some of them are. But you know, when you're running a race and it's a clean race, you have to respect the person, and then you work on the issues as your politician.
Exactly.
And you're not going to agree on both, right?
Yeah.
So.
If you look in the 80s, I know we're going back to when you back to my childhood when the earth cooled. Two sets of best friends in politics. Two sets of best friends in politics were Ted Kennedy and Orrin Hatch were best friends. Couldn't agree on anything in the 80s. And the late great President Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, Speaker of the House. Yep. Both were very close friends. They fought each other like animals. Orrin Hatch at Ted Kennedy's funeral said, Kennedy would say to him, "How did I do, Orrin?" I miss those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Lee and Ruth Bader Ginsburg were very close.
Yep.
Those days are over.
Oh yeah, no, it's long gone. Again,
the parties just went this way now.
Yeah.
They're you know, we're on extreme sides of the fence.
Exactly. The tactics have now become extreme.
I think we're being manipulated though, right? The reality is like, you know, politics or the politicians are manipulating us against each other.
Well, yeah.
They're doing a darn good job of it.
I mean, you know, to some people, I swear to God, like if you're at the polls and they ask you, are you a Republican or Democrat? I mean, this time I'm campaigning for a non-party, like no party affiliate, right? Because there are municipal races. Mm-hmm. So I would say, oh, this is a nonpartisan race. And they're like, but are they Republican or Democrat? And I was like, what would happen? He was like, because I'm not going to vote for any Republicans. I'm like, well, I don't know. You'd have to ask them yourself. Because all I know is it's a nonpartisan race, you know? So, I mean, like, there's just that hostility, you know, that kind of really animosity against Republicans.
Yeah.
It's not going away. It's not going. You know who can solve this problem? Nobody in the country. Right now, it is so bad, it's unsolvable at this point. In one day, I don't know. But right now, there is no magical politician out there. As much as my favorite politician is Governor DeSantis, he gets attacked for even saving his wife's life for cancer by Nikki Fried. So that tells you how far we are from getting to the point we like to be.
Yeah. There's no more human left in this whole thing. It's just fighting to the end.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Political machinery.
I mean, if you look at some of the issues that are going on the political stage, right? Mm-hmm. Why we're talking about men competing in women's sports, why we're talking about gender, and all these things when the country is falling apart, the economy is crashing, people can't afford to live in their homes, they can't afford gas, but everything goes to these topics that, to me, I don't know what the hell we're talking about.
They're trivial. Yeah.
How I'm going to pay my bills.
Wait a second. Let me disagree with Mo and Bill on that. I agree the economy is important, but I'm going to take a radical position here. I think social issues are just as important, if not more. I know everybody's hair is standing up, but let me tell you why, okay? I feel very strongly about both. If there is a bad economy, if there is a bad economy, it can be reversed. It always has been reversed. You gender transition a child and abuse it. You kill a baby in the womb. You make a Supreme Court decision outlandish. You can never take it back. One word for that is Scandinavia.
Yeah, no, I agree. That are important, but they become too much of the stage, and they forget the other parts that are important.
Correct. Exactly.
Well, I agree with that, but I think social issues, when people like Mitch Daniels, the former governor of Indiana, said we should have a truce on the social issues. I disagree with him 200% on that, not 100. He's totally wrong, and I'm glad his career is over, because that's a deal breaker for us as conservatives, is to give in to leftist, Marxist, social rhetoric. Which, by the way, I want to commend the Miami-Dade GOP for going to the school board a few weeks ago, and I'm sure Lynn remembers this, and fighting indoctrination in our schools. So to anybody in the Miami GOP, my hat is off to you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good job to them.
Absolutely.
Well,
there's a lot of movement there. Like Miami-Dade GOP, I mean the Miami-Dade school board. Like I think we have three new school board members that were endorsed by Governor DeSantis.
Amen.
To make sure that we don't have CRT in our schools. Like, I mean, District 3, Lisa Baez-Geller brought up the issue of having us recognize gay LGBTQ day or month or something like that. And it got voted down, I think 8-1. She was the only one who voted yes on it. Yeah. And the year before that, before the whole election came about, everybody it was 8-1, but 8-1 for celebrating LGBTQ. So that says a lot.
I've talked to a lot of people that are gay throughout this campaign as well.
Yeah.
And I would tell you, most of them don't want to be called out like this.
Yep.
I agree.
They want to live their life, and they don't want to be part of these stigmas that are going on, right? And then obviously we have the people that champion for it.
Right.
But to me, I mean, this is going back when we were young, right? I mean, all the same people existed. Yes. But all this was not part of these big movements. But they all lived. They did what they had to do. They lived the way they lived. Nobody questioned them. Nobody, I don't know how this became such an issue where it's dividing the country again. We're all
because it's
manipulating us.
Yeah, it's quote unquote a hot button issue.
Yeah, I don't even know how it started. One morning somebody woke up and said, "You know what? We're going after that community. We're going to make an issue out of it."
That's exactly what happened.
I want to make 2 points on this about how it started and the difference between. There's a huge difference between the LGBT community and LGBT activists. The first thing is the worst decade, and thank God I wasn't alive then. The only good thing that came out of the 60s was the Sound of Music. That started the LGBT community, the LGBT fanatical movement, the anti-war fanatical movement, and the feminist fanatical movement. So glad I wasn't alive. Now, most gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people want to be left alone, live and let live, and decent people. The left-wing activists of the LGBT movement who refer to the Equality Act, which, by the way, my only campaign I did on the Mike Essence show 3 years ago, I crusaded against that odious bill. Thank God I don't think it's ever going to pass. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. And things like gender transitioning in the schools, teaching kids so disgusting I don't feel like talking about it, as well as seriously, men and women's sports and men who go to women's locker rooms who self-identify as women. And you know how cruel kids could be. Women have been assaulted in those areas. So LGBT activists, big thumbs down. LGBT people, I can't do thumbs up or thumbs down because they're people like us.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
No, I mean the more we segregate each group of people, right? The more it divides us. I mean, this is what happened in Rwanda, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is how they saw their poll numbers. This is how they're able to kind of watch the metrics and figure out how to manipulate the elections.
Yes.
So they have to have.
The Cubans and the Venezuelans and Nicaraguans are voting conservative because they are scared of communism. Now all of a sudden they become the outcasts.
Terrorists now.
Yeah, they're bad now.
Now they're not really Latinos.
But so when you talk about that, how does the rest of the country not see that?
Because the rest of
how is it that people don't see that taking a baby out of the womb and then leaving it to die is okay because it's a woman's choice?
Yeah, no, that's
You know what I mean?
And that's beyond me because that's. it's hard to get in the mind of those progressives. I just can't do it because that's so sick. And as well as everything else they believe, it's like, oh, it's all equilibrium for them. But that is just really, rather than talking about abortion, the Born Infants Alive Protection Act, which, by the way, I just want to point out, when Barack Obama as senator voted for it, Planned Parenthood was against it. Now every Democrat is for it. And that is sickening.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, there's just so many things that don't make sense that like shouldn't be, I mean. Anyway, are we supposed to talk about the election today?
One more question, Mike. What do you think about climate change?
Climate change? What?
I think it's a fraud. It's a fraud. Not only is it a fraud, but listen to this. And I'm debating a Palm Beach Democrat environmentalist on the 17th, Thursday, this November 17th, on my show on climate change. I'm just saying it sounds radical, but I know it's true. The push for climate change, just like the push for the acid rain, the zero population growth, is all part of it's all part of an anti-capitalist plot. Not the theory itself, but the people pushing the theory. Remember, conservationists are normal people. We all want. Who doesn't want safe beaches and clean drinking water? But the Green New Dealists, people think the Earth's coming to an end in 2 years, and then it's 3 years. The last thing I'll say is Val Gore were right 22 years ago. We would have been dead 20 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
Well, I met a guy on the campaign trail, right? So, you're knocking doors, right? A guy comes out. He goes, hey, I got an issue. I'm a doctor. I'm at Columbia University, and I wrote this paper on climate change. So he wrote this whole dissertation on climate change. And he says in this paper, and he emailed me the paperwork with all this research for years, because he's fighting the climate change theory. He says it's just like the moon with the water, the tides. It's the gravitational pull, depending on where the planets are lined up, is how the Earth warms and cools. It has nothing to do with anything else other than the way the universe and the planets are circling and where they meet, and then so every X amount of 100 years, the Earth is going to go through a changing period because it's all lunar related. And he says it's the same way it works with the water, right? You have a high tide, low tide with the moon. So, and if you think about it, that could be very true.
Sounds like me.
Yeah, but that's not what the word is attributed to by the activists. But you're right. Your point is well taken, Bill.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, like, we're coming out of the 5th ice age at the moment.
Right. Well, but how do you write legislation?
So it's gonna heat up for sure.
Global warming.
Yeah, it's gonna heat up because we're coming out of an ice age. If we're going into an ice age, it'll get colder.
Well,
there have been 5 ice ages, so that says something.
They started
mine was my favorite, by the way.
Mountains and stuff, and seeing how they felt about it, and the trees. Like the Lorax came and said the trees have spoken. And I'm just kidding. It's a joke. I don't know if you guys ever seen
me some history here.
When he speaks for the trees, and the trees say that
Lynn, there's got to be some like ancient Asian like theory here.
No.
Confucius have anything going on?
No.
You guys have got to watch the Lorax. It's the greatest Dr. Seuss thing ever. So,
I haven't seen that. I really do want to see it. Do you recommend that?
It was also I didn't see it, but I was also made into a movie years later. Yes.
Yeah. No, listen, it's great. I have kids. We love it. What's funny about the Lorax, I love this part, is that some dude got rich off of selling bottled air. So if you can, we're
gonna need that soon. You better figure that one out.
Wait, you guys, hold on. They have bottled farts. I kid you not.
No, it's online. No,
right now online. There are people who buy other people's farts.
No, they do. Listen, I'm about to get in the market and start selling, but see how much
capitalize. I should get my husband involved.
But that's how I feel about climate change.
This is where politics goes.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about that.
Goes out right out the other side.
They're trying to sell us a bag of farts and have us vote for it. That's how I feel about it, Lynn. It's unbelievable.
Back to let me say one more thing about it. The closest thing to global warming is the Miami heat.
There you go. But my New York Jets, I don't know.
Yeah,
Those Ninjas are on fire.
They're doing well. That's a different topic.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about it with you sometime.
Yeah.
Did someone say Dolphins? I'm sorry. Anyway,
No,
thought that
Dolphin,
all-
what?
I don't know, but I know that Bill's team ain't doing so good. Did he take down the Green Bay thing yet, or no?
That ain't my team.
Still
That's just where the company is located. So it's good for the Zoom calls. So let's get back to politics. So what else are we gonna talk about with the races? What else we got?
Well, I mean, listen. Another one that was a clear victory, which if we're going to talk about like statewide politics, was Marco Rubio, and I know we talked about him as far as our campaigns, in Broward helping his, but thank God, man, because I couldn't stand watching one more Val Demings commercial. To be quite honest with you, so I'm super happy that he won, and it was a clear landslide victory for him, and hopefully they lets her know to back away from Marco Rubio and leave him alone, because that was very well. Backed by the Democrats. They spent a lot of money on that campaign.
To be honest, I think they wasted her as a good candidate on this race.
I agree with you. I think so too, Lynn.
She just didn't cut it, right? She didn't cut it for senator. I mean, like, she's a great representative, I assume. I mean, like,
no.
If she votes with Nancy Pelosi, then no.
And Harley shows up as well, but continue, please. Hardly ever shows up to work as well.
Yeah.
And forget she's not a police chief anymore.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they usually when they say something that's usually about them, pointing to us.
Yeah, I know, right? She's like, Marco Rubio never shows up. Meanwhile, you don't show up either.
That was a powerful commercial, though, because I tell you what, when I was knocking doors and I would say, "You voting for Rubio?" a lot of Republicans would say, "Does he actually show up for work?" I want
to say this about Marco Rubio, if I may.
Yeah,
I believe strongly in my heart that the conservative movement, including me, and probably I can't speak for you guys, but I'd like to know your opinions, have forgiven him. He is for his ridiculous amnesty plan 9 years ago, which hurt his career for a long time. I think he has reestablished himself as a conservative, not a moderate, because I think he's proven himself since then, because he's a major expert on China, and the Almanac, which is nonpartisan, ranked him as the most effective senator. As for Mrs. Demings, the best thing I can say about her is she's no longer in office. I had to sit through those commercials where there were total fabrications, total lies. And when I was thinking, I would watch a movie on YouTube, they would come up. I would say, is it bad enough I have to follow her during politics? I say that most progressives don't, or every one of them. But she, Charlie Crist, and Nikki Fried are gone. They are out of office. Hopefully that's a permanent stay.
That's a win. That's a big victory in itself that they lost and that they are out of office.
No, I'm so glad, especially Nikki Fried. Oh my God.
Right? I'm so tired of seeing her stickers on these gas pumps. Like, lady, this is
her period.
Your sticker.
This disgusting woman attacked the heroic governor for saving his wife's life. Does it get any lower than that?
No, you're absolutely right.
I agree.
She was basically also a walking commercial for marijuana. It was her whole campaign, and she's scum. And I'm being very kind by saying that.
Well, thank you for being kind, because this is a family show.
We're rated G.
Mad.
Amen.
By slipping a rating booster every now and then. So.
When I looked at Charlie Crist in his commercials, he doesn't even look clean.
No.
Right? He looks like somebody that I would walk by and have my hands in my pocket holding my money.
No, I would. Yeah, absolutely.
He is a used car salesperson at best.
Oh my God, so true.
He looks like his younger brother.
He gives you those soft little puppy dog eyes. I mean, get out of here, man. He doesn't even speak like a man. And I don't
Here's
like
the ironic thing about his campaign. He was the worst governor in my lifetime. I'm 51. We have the best. He's running again, saying he could do the job when he, as a congressman, was not only a lightweight, he was a flat-out puppet of the of Bernie Sanders' progressive wing, and we have the most unpopular and the worst president ever, and he says he's a standard role model. This is one of the worst campaigners. Now, I don't know about one of the worst politicians. I don't know. There's so many, but that was one of the worst campaigns I've seen in recent memory.
Well, it depends how you define politician, right?
He was a congressman, but
the ones that are going to work for us, or the ones that are just there
Robert
bullshit.
He's in it for Charlie Crist.
That's right,
and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh well, for sure.
No, absolutely, yeah. I think he's just doing whatever it is to survive and get
He's
support.
probably going to switch parties
He
again.
can get support
Run
from.
for that seat, knowing that we're going
He's going to have to create a party now because nobody's going to want him.
No.
He has to start a new party.
Yeah, he's going to
split the vote.
He's a libertarian. He'll be a libertarian next, but they won't.
I thought he was already a libertarian.
Oh, so okay. So what else?
He's been near you.
Yeah, I think he might be joining Andrew Yang. So that's the newest party.
Oh.
You know what's sad is that Andrew Gillum did a better job against Ron DeSantis than Charlie Crist did. That speaks volumes. I'm just saying.
I think there's too many people that remember.
No, I know.
You think about
no, exactly. No, I get it. I know, I get it, but in my mind, it's like, in hindsight, it's like, wow, we almost elected that guy. Thank God for Ron DeSantis, but I mean, this time around, like, not even Charlie Crist could compete against that guy. Like, I wonder what's going to happen a few months from now if we're going to find like Charlie Crist in a hotel with a homosexual prostitute and some drugs. I don't know. I hope not, but it would be pretty funny.
I believe.
No, I mean, like, these people, they're going to end up being. These people are going to end up being lobbyists, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you can assert like about 80% of that, and this is a problem. I think that we really need to curb our politicians from becoming lobbyists or news contributors, or you know what I mean? Because news contributors, I'm not so much. I mean, we already know that the mainstream media is like the left testicle of the Democrat Party.
Yes, they are.
Right. So, I mean, they're all one and the same body. But my point is that I think that they really should not become lobbyists because I think this is something that my friend Greg brought up. Right. And I really agree with it. Because now they're just establishing all their connections with different people. And as soon as they leave office, then they go work for someone who's lobbying to change all these laws. And I think people who have contributions from these major companies, they should recuse themselves from voting.
No,
like politicians who are receiving money about, let's say you get money from a developer, you should not be able to vote on a project that has to do with that.
I agree with that 100%.
Agree. It's too much special interest involved.
Yep. Now look at what's happening with which politician's getting money from Pfizer, right? When we're thinking about the vaccine and now they're coming up with a new variant or whatever. But anyway, we're supposed to talk about elections. I can go into a rabbit hole.
We're talking about the media being a left testicle. Look at
I want to say something else about that. Talk radio is the right testicle. The right testicle of America. Us conservative talk show.
So now we got two.
I don't want to be a testicle.
We have two testicles here.
I just want to remind everyone that this is a family show.
Testicle's not a 4-letter word. It's science.
It's science.
It's science. It's right. You're right. It is science.
It is science. And they
just
this
is the kind of stuff that
testicle is a very important organ in a man's body. Very important if you can identify a man.
You know what's funny? This one
Jackson Brown.
Other things might. So that's just.
I just want to say something about that though. Talk radio is a source of hope, not hatred. Is the most conservative industry in the country. Maybe country music's close, but without leaders like Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, and I will say Mark Levin, the brilliant Mark Levin. I think he was at the Constitutional Convention. Now I'm starting to reincarnation now. He Google the Constitution. We really wouldn't be where we are. In fact, The
Well,
Godfather
you
of
guys
conservative.
think the father, Rush Limbaugh, right? Rush Limbaugh.
Everybody say alike. Some people, by the way, thought 2000 Rush Limbaugh destroyed John McCain's chances of beating George W. Bush for the primary, and it's very possible in South Carolina he had that impact. It is a force in this country, and it'll get better.
Yeah. Yep.
So we are the right testicle.
Amen.
Right, we're on the right.
It's really not the left.
Yeah, be the left.
I'm in the middle.
So, what do you guys make out of Kerry Lake's race?
Oh, so did you win? I don't know. I thought
I'll talk
Arizona's
about it.
results aren't in yet.
I thought it was 50-50. That's what I saw, right?
I really am very. There's a red flag here, pardon the pun, but
Yep.
this is a woman who, honestly, her opponent is the third stupidest person in politics today. John Fetterman second. Joy Reid, who is not a politician, thank God, is first.
Wait, where's
And
Kamala Harris and Joe Biden?
Fourth and fifth. Kamala's fourth, Joe's fifth. That's the five Marx brothers there were more impressive. But let me go back to what I was saying. There has to be fraud involved. If Kerry Lake does not get 56% of the vote, I honestly believe there's fraud. They even caught fraud in Arizona, and we may meet in for recounts. And I remember the good old days when we knew the next day who won.
Yeah.
The good old days are long gone.
Yeah, and that's without all these fancy computers and internet and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking
So
of,
we say that they're third world countries, and Maricopa is one of them.
It's true.
Yeah.
New York
So
is
now-
a statewide third world country.
We got Herschel Walker. How's he doing? He's in a runoff now, right?
He's in a
He's
runoff.
going to the runoff. In fact, I want to say something about that. It looks like we're going to have a lot of anxiety coming up for a month because I have a feeling, this is my prediction, that is the race that will determine who gets control of the Senate. And that's
you're
what-
100% right.
money, and then issues on the table. But honestly, Herschel did so great in the debate. I think that helped him. He would not have come this close if he didn't.
Right.
And I'm not predicting a winner yet because a lot's going to happen between now and then. But I pray to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that Walker wins and we take the Senate back, and Chuck Schumer's not the majority leader or ever majority leader.
Listen, I think that's going to be the. I 100% agree with you on that. I think Herschel's going to take this one, and then you're right. It's going to be anxiety for the country for the next month because it's going to blow their mind that this is the race that's really going to be the tipping point or the scale tipper on what. No one saw this coming except for, again, Republicans. Like Herschel Walker could pull this off, and like you said, that debate helped a lot. And I'm glad it did because his numbers were lagging. And then when I woke up this morning to see that he was ahead in the polls and then, to kind of go into the runoff position, I was absolutely amazed and excited about that. And I was like, this is going to be the deciding factor of who takes control of the Senate, this race right here.
I was
Yeah, but
pleasantly
here's the
surprised.
thing, like we have to remind Americans that like this is exactly 2020 all over again, right? Using those two Georgian seats, and then that was it. Like, it just went south from there, right?
I should have called the
So, I
regulation.
mean, if they don't,
The only difference
if
is
they're not reminded of the results of what happened in 2020 and like really get out there and vote, because I know that runoffs are so difficult to get people out to vote. We lose.
I agree
so
with you
many
completely,
seats,
Lynn.
like, senselessly. What's
the
that?
only difference. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The only difference is, and we haven't talked about this. I just want to bring this up. I am 99% sure that we are going to retire Nancy Pelosi from Speaker, which we couldn't do in 2020. It's just as important we win the Senate, but the House, it's not. Even if it's not as much as we wanted, who cares? We win. A win is a win is a win, and that even is going to make a difference in turnout and even hope for the country, I think.
No, I don't think so. I think that even though we do have control of the House, we don't have a comfortable enough margin. There are going to be, remember, Republicans, we have a mind of our own. We're individualists. So we will vote all over the place, right? We're not like Democrats where they're a voting block.
Just
Like,
sit there.
right? They say
So you
left,
don't think
we
they
go
vote
left.
Pelosi out?
What's that?
You don't think they take Pelosi, vote her out?
Take Pelosi's.
And vote her out.
I didn't get that.
No. She's going to be a congresswoman, but not the majority. Yeah, Lynn makes a good point. I still think I don't know how much we need to win by, but
I mean, Kevin McCarthy's going to have to work pretty darn hard, right? Because he's going to have to whip all the votes in place in order to get the bill passed. So we're going to be in a stagnant space for 2 years if we don't have a comfortable enough space. Then if we don't pass something, when it goes to the Senate, it won't get passed either. Because it's like
about that.
With like Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker.
I do want to respond. It's not a question of it's quality, not quantity in the Republican Party. And let me tell you what I mean. I'd rather have 60, or let me just say 20 Jim Jordans than 60 Carlos Jimenez's. I mean, it's not a question just of the amount. I mean, I'm saying we have few fighters in the House, even if we're in the majority. I think McCarthy's okay. But
no, I agree. I totally agree.
People fight as hard as him.
I was saying, like, both comfortable margins of, like, with room for error, because we do have the, Maria Alvarez Salazar's, we do have the Carlos Jimenez's, we do have, all these politicians who would vote like woke, right? So, and because Republicans don't have that, voting block mentality, right? Like, look, progressive to whatever, right? I mean, everybody votes. Yeah. I mean, once in a while,
I don't think we disagree that much, Lynn.
And then they vote a certain way, and they get condemned, like,
Yeah.
Lynn, I don't think we disagree. I think the issue is that I think the House Republicans in general are not conservative enough compared to what they were years in the Gingrich era, or even much later. I think we need to stop just saying I'm a Republican. Instead, it should be I'm proud to be a conservative. Me, I'm an American first, a conservative second, and a Republican third. In that order.
No, you know what? Now, and by the way, it's so funny. I was saying to someone that I'm an American first. Immediately, people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're so radical! Like you're part of the January 6 people and this and that." I'm serious. That's how. So now, because I
should have shown them some Photoshop pictures of you there.
Because I'm America first, all of a sudden I'm a radical. Like, what are you talking about? I can't say the word patriot anymore. Anyway, besides the point. But I agree with you. I think that like Jim Jordan is extremely amazing, right? I mean, I'm so happy for him to be like the committee chair.
Excellent, great guy.
Yeah, he's great. The thing is, like, we don't have enough of them.
We don't have enough Jordans at all. But I want to point out a rising star, though, and he could be even governor or even hopefully he's in Congress longer. He was a guest on my show, Byron Donalds from Naples.
Oh,
I like Elise Stefanik, but I hope in the second chair, Byron Donalds gets it. I think that would make a huge difference in encouraging other conservatives. Stefanik's good. He's better. I wish he was the speaker instead of McCarthy. He is a fighter, and not only a rising star, he's there already.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So let me see. What else do we have here in South Florida?
I mean,
Kevin Cabrera.
Huh?
I want to congratulate Kevin Cabrera on his victory for the
county commission. Yeah. Kevin Cabrera. He's great.
That's in Miami-Dade?
Yes,
it is.
Okay. Congratulations.
Kevin Cabrera for Miami-Dade County Commissioner.
Yes, he did.
I'm trying to see who we have in.
I think it was District 6.
I don't think we had anything in Broward County in terms of commissioners. I will say this. I don't know how I feel about this. I had a goal of defeating Donna Corn. I didn't defeat Donna Corn, but I think I was, what stopped her from winning. And this gentleman beat her last night in the school board at-large seat 8. So Alan Zeman's it. I don't know how I feel about that, but we have 4 years to find out. So
we just got to face reality. There's no place for conservatism, or at least the Republican Party, in public office in Broward. I don't know how Chip LaMarca did it. It's like running in Massachusetts. That's reality. People don't like to hear that if you're Broward people, but we got to say what people need to hear, not what they want to hear. This county is going to be a blue for a long time. That's just the truth.
Chip LaMarca, he's got, a healthy footprint in that district, and there's a good amount of people who vote conservatively in that area. I think
he's
has.
in
That's the only
Lighthouse
one.
Point, right? And he was
Yeah, he's got
also,
a sweet spot. Yeah, he's got a very interesting,
and he's got, and he was also Broward County Commissioner for 8 years.
right. So
So
that
people
those
know how he votes, even though he's conservative, but he knows how to balance the whole, centrist part of him, with
Mhm.
like beach renourishment, things like conservation of the environment, and so
I agree with
he does
conservation.
appeal. Yeah, he had. I mean, I wanted to consult him earlier because I know that my district have a similar demographic to his district, but like
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's not going to be easy to to fit him his training for him to fit training me into his schedule. So, but he would be a good person to consult if the Republican Party really wants to grow Broward County. I think they should they should consult Chip LaMarca for that because he really
Yeah.
knows his stuff. I mean, very much so.
Mhm.
And he's
That's
got like people working for him that had campaigned for him since he was commissioner. I mean, they're very savvy as well. So, yeah.
yeah. So I'm
I
trying
mean,
to see if
it's a perfect balance of the narrative, right? When you have a message that you send out to people, and they're more purple, meaning like they're very basically liberals, right? I'm not talking about leftist or progressive or extreme
Right,
people, but
liberals.
right, liberals, like real liberals, like from the JFK era here. And I mean, to be able to package that conservatism with the liberal, ideals in them, and have it roll out a certain way, it's not it's not
It's rare.
it's an art. There you go. It's an
Well said.
art. Yeah. So
I
I
will.
think he was the only one. Did we have anybody else?
Oh,
I'm
Demi
looking at-
Cabrera. Yeah, forget his wife.
Oh, Demi.
She congratulations. I only talked to her once. I didn't get involved in that race, but I'm glad she won.
Awesome. This is great. Wow, it's like the dynamic duo here.
There you go.
Like Bill and Hillary. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, you got me. Good joke.
I'll, no comments.
Hopefully Kevin and Demi will forgive you for that joke, which I by the way loved.
They know I'm joking. I totally admire them. They're great. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's awesome. Yeah.
I listen. I just want to say real quick, like something's got to give in District 20. Like again, the representation there. You have a strong, family-oriented, conservative black man that was running, honest, filled with integrity against somebody who lied to you about $1,000 check that they're trying to get that they'll never get to you. Then and she wins by a landslide again. Like I really hope District 20 wakes up. It's again 136,000 votes goes to this lady. It's about name recognition. It's about false promises. We've got to do better in these communities in educating the voters, or just being more present so that way they understand that the Democrats only show up every 4 years. We just got to show up on those off years when they're not there. So because again, Drew Montez Clark. I saw, and again to your point, I think Bill, you said this earlier. We spend too much face time within our own party. I think Drew, the one thing that Drew did not do very well was spend time outside of the party, and it's unfortunate because I think if he did, he probably would have done better. I don't think he would have won, but he probably would have done better. So
he's a very likable guy. I've met him a couple times. Very intelligent guy.
Yeah,
I think if he would have did and I don't know how he ran his campaign, so I really can't say. But I think if he was more present in the communities, I think he would have done a lot better for sure.
100%. I mean, but he was also going up against a lot of money. Like Sheila Shriffless McCormick was heavily financed through our primaries.
Tina Polsky was heavily financed.
Yeah, so
I mean, I ran this race under 15 grand. She has a couple $100,000 in the bank.
Whew.
That's awesome. I mean,
But
price per vote, you kick her butt.
nonstop.
You did good, Bill.
Yeah, price per vote.
Moral victory, Bill. Next time, just wait till next time. Houston Astros
only-
World Series. Remember that.
Yeah, well, I learned a lot. I learned, this next time is going to be a whole different race because I know what I did wrong. I know what I could have done better. And I really only had 4 months to run this race because the first, I was started at 6 months, which isn't even enough time, but I was held up for 2 months waiting for somebody else to decide if they were going to run in this seat or not. The guy that ran last time against her. And he just couldn't get his head together. Brian Norton, that the guy's name was. He couldn't get his head together on if he was going to run or not. So I didn't jump in anything to see, what he was up to because I didn't want to have a primary. And then it got to the point where he wasn't doing anything, so I just jumped in. So.
And then you got held
You
up
did
by
very
other
well.
things. No, you did great, man. Well, I think we all did great. We should all be round of applause to all of us.
Anybody that puts themselves out there, you got to give credit to.
We did well, and you know what? And we did
Seriously. True.
100%.
Right.
Even on the other side, I mean, for those candidates that didn't, that are not part of the political machine, at least not as of yet, and they put themselves out there to fight for the seat, and whether they're successful or not, it does take a lot to do this, to campaign and take time away from your family, and we now know that. We now know that.
I will say that I have a ton of respect for the volunteers, especially the ones that are there from the minute that you're going to the last bell. Because those people are, they have nothing else at stake except trying to help you win, to help the district or whatever they're running with, and that is, it's impressive to me that people put that much of their personal time and effort into candidates to help us win.
Absolutely.
So
No,
they're
super passionate,
champions.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
you really know that they really care about the candidate. Then they care about their municipality, their community, their state, their country, anything. Like they really do. And
Special
I
person.
give a shout out to all volunteers as well. I think that's
Left and right, I kudos to all of you.
correct.
All of them.
Yes, all volunteers who after winning, all they get is a thank you gift and maybe a meal.
Well, you know what I would tell you too that I noticed at the polls.
What?
And I noticed it more on the Democratic side than I did the Republican side. The Democrats were paying people to stand at the polls to give paperwork out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed was they were sitting in a chair all day, didn't get up and get out and try to meet people as they were walking by. The Republicans that had volunteers, not paid people, were actually walking up to the voters, at where we could walk to, and giving them and asking them to please look at our card, vote for us, engaging with them. Whether they voted for us or not, is whatever. But that's something else that is like when you work a trade show in business. You got the people that just sit there and have a good time at the trade show and do nothing, and you got the people working to try to get to work, get the customer. So that's something else that I think, especially in training candidates, is how to work the floor with your volunteers, right? Because I had 2 ladies with me in Parkland. They were Filipino ladies yesterday, and they were there at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. They stopped every single person that walked by, gave them my thing, dragged them over to talk to me. I shook their hand, and I actually turned a couple Democrats and a bunch of NPAs that were undecided by talking to me. Who knows what they would have done? I know what the Dem would have done in the vote, but these are things that we need to teach how to run a campaign, from the volunteer side to the walking in, door knocking, what to say, how to say it, and how to answer the questions, how to avoid the question with an answer that's not really the answer, so you don't get yourself trapped. There's so much that needs to be done, but I think it's a necessary evil, and I think the GOPs, our Brex, should have that going on. And
Now, do you guys have you heard of the Leadership Institute?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there's an organization called Leadership Institute, and they have really cheap programs for you to learn, and there's some free online courses that you can take. It talks about anything from fundraising, forming a team, volunteer training, phone banking. They're pretty complete. So it's called leadershipinstitute.org. You could also sign up for live in-person classes. Darlene Swaffer and I actually we attended the same weekend course in Palm Beach, and they're pretty thorough. They do teach a lot.
Yeah.
So with that said, I think like more of it is like candidates need for me, like because I've been, I registered I filed to run like a year and 3 months before the election. What I found was I think the thing that makes the biggest difference is coaching.
Yes.
Someone who will like so here's me and my excuses, right? I make maybe 10 calls for fundraising a day at best. Okay. The day that I had a campaign manager who was sitting there going, "Nope, come back here, make the next phone call. No, come back here, make the next phone call." In one day of phone calls of 6 hours, I think I made $5,000. But the thing is, I didn't have that coaching to like drag me back and have me accountable for fundraising. So if it were up to me, I would make 5 calls and be like, I don't want to make any more calls. I'd rather do this. I'd rather do that. So, I mean, the coaching bit is the part that is, so your campaign manager, not even your consultant is important. I think you need a good campaign manager, someone who will like really, I mean, and they call these, and in the industry, right? In the campaign industry, they call it the call time manager. So that person is like, they're dialing the next number for you as soon as they hear you say, okay, thank you. And then by the time you hang up, the next phone rings. That's how, how hardcore it is for fundraising. And that's what I hear. If you are elected as a congressional candidate and you get elected, that's the first thing you do is every Friday you're making phone calls all day long. Do you remember Maya Flores?
Yes, she's from Texas.
Yep. The minute she got in that special election, when she got elected, she was making phone calls. She was sending out emails.
Interesting.
Yep. It's an industry. I swear to God, it's just like a fundraising industry.
No,
But I
yeah.
want to bring something really important up because a friend of mine is a poll watcher, right? And then she saw people on the left, right? A left-leaning citizen in like coming into the lines at the polling stations and starting to give out slates for people to vote. And the people who come on election day, a lot of times they have not decided who they want to vote for. I was standing in front of the polls for like 4 hours, on election day, this time around, thinking like, people would know, right? That because the primary people don't know, I get. But like in the general election, you don't know, I'm a little worried. So they're giving out slates for people for who to vote for. And we have supervisors of these polling stations who do nothing about it. So they're not giving out water anymore. They're not feeding food for people in line, but they're giving out a slate.
Ridiculous.
So my question is there a loophole or something? Like they're not allowed to give drinks anymore, but they can hand out a slate? And if they do hand it out and the supervisor at the polling station sees it, should they not stop people doing that?
They should stop it. It's inexcusable and it's unanalyzable. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, who do we report things like that to? Like Christina White, if it's in Miami-Dade County, or
Probably yes.
But I think it's legal because both parties are handing them out.
Inside the poll. I mean, like you can't campaign within a certain area, right?
Well,
Okay.
right.
Hi, somebody's here. Anyway, so you know what I mean? Like if there's yellow stickers on the floor, right?
My wife did it last week, bro. It's all good.
Huh?
That's the left testicle right there, by the way.
No, I'm saying my wife did it last week where she's like walking in the back of my shot.
And they wonder why Zoom wasn't good for business.
So
Listen,
anyway,
I brought my son on the show before, so
I think that like we haven't passed the election day, too much. I think we should actually bring this up to either our representatives or straight up to the supervisor of elections to make sure that things like that don't happen. If I can't even wear a campaign T-shirt to go to the restroom inside the polling station without, like covering it up, putting a jacket on or something, right?
Yep.
But you're allowed to hand out slates?
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. We gotta bring that up to somebody, the SOE and things. But but again, I'm pretty sure they're aware of it because it's not like you can hide and say like.
No, it's not that they're not aware of it, because like one of my friends who was a poll watcher actually reported it to the supervisor 6 times.
Wow.
Yep. And they still didn't do anything about it. It was the same guy who was doing that thing, who was handing out slates.
In that case, I'm gonna tell the Broward GOP to start handing out slates on election day. Like instead of putting out door hangers out there, just wait till election day, save all your money, just voter guide.
I know. Seriously.
That's how we do it now. Red wave. This is the wave right here.
Here's a wave, a stack of slates.
That's the wave right there.
Okay, guys. So wait, let me see. I pulled up something else, and oh my gosh, did I delete it? Crap. Anyway, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about in terms of the election?
No, I think we're good on the election.
Good.
Well, wait, Lee Zeldin.
Because we have a couple of runoffs. I think this is a plea. So there are several runoffs going on. I think my city, the 3 candidates I'm supporting, one of them has to go to a runoff. And Mo's smiling, or is he frozen? Okay, so he's frozen. Okay, so Jay Chernoff is going into a runoff. Fortuna Smuggler made it across the line, and so did Phyllis Smith. So good news on that one. We are going into a runoff. And then, of course, Sunny Isles, the mayor seat, there's a runoff between Dana Goldman and Larissa Lesvichin. Yeah. Do you know what's going on in like Parkland, Tamarack area?
Don't know.
Nothing's going on in Parkland.
Wasn't there an election there too?
I think nobody ran opposed.
Oh, seriously? Yeah, I think it happened to Aventura. Well, no, Aventura there was a race.
Yeah.
Maybe North Bay Village or something.
Yeah, Parkland there was nobody opposing anybody.
Okay. What happened to Mo? Anyway. Okay.
He got tired. He was past his bedtime.
So how's it been? Has it been relaxing for you now, Bill?
I tell you what, I woke up this morning and I was lost.
You didn't know what to do, right?
I don't feel myself for a first day. I'm like, where am I? I'm supposed to be out campaigning and I don't have my list of where I'm going today done. I don't, I'm like, so it was, and then it was a somber day because, I lost the election. Yeah.
Right.
So what happened was the numbers for Palm Beach came in first, and I was behind the start word because of the mail-in ballots, and then as it started going, she was ahead, and then all of a sudden I jumped ahead and won. So I'm like walking around the house, be like, "Yeah, I got this," right? And then Broward started, and I'm like, "Oh no, I don't got this." No.
For doubling counties, it's always better to look at like results from the news, like Miami Herald.
Yeah.
Because they tally them both together. Versus like, you look at Miami and you look at Broward, and I remember a friend of mine, she was congratulating remember Rhonda Lopez?
Sure.
Yeah. A friend of mine, she looked at Rhonda's results and she goes, Rhonda won. I'm like, no, Rhonda didn't win, because I was looking at the Miami Herald results.
Right.
And she had lost like by, a thin margin. But when she was winning in Miami-Dade, she won like a big margin, right? So I thought, so it was a false alarm, and they were all celebrating for her, and I think it must have hurt it even more. But
it hurts. To me, it's like I relate a lot of things to football because that was my life for so many years. So it's like being you winning the game, and then at the last minute, the quarterback throws an interception for a pick six, and you're done. With 3 seconds left, you got to try to get down the field. And if you don't have Brady, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So so that's the high and lows of it, right? I'm like, oh my god, I'm winning. And so I woke up this morning, but I'll tell you, the good thing about it was, besides, Tina, like I said with Tina, we ran a clean race together. The amount of people that I met, the amount of people that I didn't even know that was sending me messages, because my number was accessible on my website, through Facebook, through text messages, WhatsApp, all that. And then really kind words. Some people wrote paragraphs to me, not just like, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
That to me is a winner.
Yeah.
Because it was over. If it wasn't 500 messages I got today, it wasn't one. So,
Sorry, guys. Lost power here in Volusia.
It's okay.
Lost power. We thought you took it now.
No, hurricane. I don't know what happened. It's been raining all day. I don't know what the weather is like down there, but
yeah,
hurricane's on the way. Or
tropical. We got much here right now. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I didn't know what to do with myself till about like 1 o'clock. Then I'm thinking to myself, well, I haven't really worked in my business for forever. I might as well see what that's like again.
That'd be a good time to figure that out.
No, seriously, I was lost too, because you're like going 100 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, like, you let the foot off the gas, and there's nowhere to go, right? And it's like, holy cow, what do I do now?
Yeah, I had no appointments lined up. Did somebody want to meet with me? Nothing. I'm like, what am I doing?
Are you talking about like the ending of your campaign?
Yeah, so tomorrow will be a better day, because now my brain's back into the world.
Okay.
Today was like leap year.
Right, froze. Did I go offline again? Oh, there. That was interesting, because I ended my campaign a few days early, because again, my son was being born he was due on election day, so I came back up, and my wife, thank God I did, because the next day, her contractions started kicking in. And 2 days before the election, he was born. So,
that's crazy.
So, it was really easy for me to transition.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying it was real easy for me to transition back to normalcy, with the exception of I had a newborn. So, it wasn't
normal about that.
Else to fall back on.
Yeah, it wasn't normal. It was like diapers right away. And,
oh, my God.
You should have did some live feeds from the hospital trying to get some votes.
I mean, I thought about it, but I was like, that's an intimate moment with me and my family, and I wasn't trying to, And I've been told that some people were like, yeah, you should have did that. I'm like, yeah, I probably should have. But
a lot of women would have related to that. They would have thought that was really cool that you're,
being a father, family values.
Yeah.
I mean, but my campaign slogan was "A parent on the school board."
Yeah.
I mean,
how much more a new child into the school system? So
there you go.
But then again, if she was having contractions and she started saying some bad things to you, you might not have wanted that on film. So
yeah, exactly. So so it was different.
Guys, we have Mike online, so I mean, let's. You want to? Do we have any more questions for Mike?
Well, not for me. Bill, you got a question?
So Mike, tell us a little bit about like what your plans are in the future. What your website. I'm gonna put that up right now. So give you a chance to
plug the show.
Yeah.
Sure. Mike Essence Show is also known as I'm known as South Florida's conservative voice. I have past guests have included Marco Rubio, Rick Scott, 5 times Oliver North, 4 times Abby Johnson, Scott Walker, Ted Nugent, a great one,
all right.
Byron Donalds, and I debated the Gloria Allred on the abortion issue. I report, you decide. And I recently had Ashley Moody on and endorsed her for Attorney General. She did great. I actually covered CPAC 2022 this year, one of the great honors of my life. I don't know what the future holds. Hopefully it just goes up and up and up, and I become more of an influence than I already am, and I love doing what I do.
We love what you do. Well, I love what you do, and the guys haven't really seen what you've done, but
not yet, but I'm interested now.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So go to for Mike's show, go to blogtalkradio.com. right? / Mike Essen Show.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Check out his work, what he's done. I mean, it sounds like an impressive lineup of interviews that you've done already. And we
Thank
are
you.
very envious and inspired by what you've done. We definitely look forward to more collaborations together.
Likewise.
yeah.
Thank you for the kind words, all three of you.
Oh yeah,
No,
it was
great. Thank you
loved
for
it.
being a patriot, and thank you for being a constitutionalist conservative. Like, that is very important these days.
God bless you, man.
Thank you so much. And one thing I promise, that'll never change. Either one of those things.
Amen to that.
Please,
Very nice.
please do not change.
I won't.
Okay, it was great having you, and we hope that you will come back again. And I will be on your show on the 21st, right?
Yep, Lynn will be my guest the 21st. We'll talk about the issues of the day and more. I look forward to your appearance on my show, Lynn. Last time you were endorsed candidate. Now you'll be a conservative analyst, and I'm looking forward to it very much. Thanks for appearing on my show again.
Thank you so much.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, now you have 2 other guests that you can also invite. Bill's amazing, and so is Mo. So,
I
and
try
want
to-
that both of them on.
yeah, for all,
I'd love
so
to be
for
on.
all 4 of us, I think we're good to go tonight, right?
Oh yeah, we're great. I know we'll connect later on this week. I don't know if we want to do another show this week, guys, but I'll be down. I'll be here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For sure. I mean, let's coordinate that offline and see if we can come back on, and then go from there. Now Bill has more time.
Well, after tomorrow, he's still-
Bill will be on the show.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna call it a night tonight. Are we in agreement on that one?
Yes, we
that's
are.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks again, Mike, for being here, and
Thanks for
thank
having
you
me.
It was a
everyone
pleasure
for
meeting you, Mike.
watching. Yeah,
Mike,
have a great
you
night.
as well.
Thank you, Ball.
Okay,
You're
bye.
welcome. Take care. Bye, America.
Bye, America. Bye,
Take care.
Florida. Okay. Bill, can you
On Live Us.